Okay, guys, so we're setting up here for this here Coda Radio today, and it's 2:54, and I want to check the soundboard just really quick because I've been messing with some levels here in the studio, so just give me a second here. There we go. There's the bell. The bell has been located. Eagle has been located.
The United States, when we make a mistake, we're honest about it. We own up to it.
Get it out of here.
All right, so this would be Coder levels. Check. There you go, and that's it. We're gonna do it live as the now deceased Bill O'Reilly. Is it too soon? Is it too soon? Sorry. This, by the way, Mr. Ronald Jenkins' new album. You can find it at ronaldjenkins.com. I think it's Roads Deep is the name. Yeah, Roads Deep. Some good music on this. Holy... What a week! Monday is off to a roll. There is some news to talk about today. A lot of hoopla in the Coda Radio program. Check that box. Something we won't be talking about today in Coda Radio, but it's kind of interesting. Amazon, according to the Wall Street Journal, this is the Wall Street Journal, Amazon has created a team for self-driving car technology, which focuses not on building the vehicles, but on how to leverage them once they're in the marketplace. Some sort of ride-share delivery service, perhaps? That's kind of interesting. Netflix to raise $1 billion through debt. I don't know what the hell that means. Offering to fund new content and strategic transactions. $1 billion in they're willing to go $1 billion in debt to create more House of Cards content type stuff. That's interesting, I say. So Google has been hiring out to contractors to flag and label inappropriate YouTube content at $15 an hour, and they're supplying that as training to the Google AI system that scans for content on YouTube. How about this one? Every day across the nation, contractors are going through Google and logging YouTube videos that they say are inappropriate, looking for violence and things like current events. Because Google is scrambling to control the advertising narrative on its platform. It's had huge advertisers flee recently. But their AI system isn't good enough yet. So the problem is they need to solve is they gotta have humans to train it. So they're contracting up 8 current and former contractors tell Wired that the company is increasingly reliant on ad raters, that's what Google calls them. Poor communication with Google and lack of job stability are impairing their ability to do their jobs well, though. It's causing issues, and it's prevented them from flagging some videos properly, they say. Ad raters don't just flag videos as inappropriate. They're asked to make granular assessments on the title and on the contents, classifying them, for instance, as containing inappropriate language such as profanity, hate speech, or other. Violence is also its own category, with subcategories such as terrorism, war and conflict, death and tragedy, and other. This happened on Unfilter. I watched a human being go through the Unfilter back catalog. Slowly watch the entire show and do this to us. They also have categories for drugs, sex and nudity, things like that. The system provides the ad rater, the contractor, with the option for other sensitive content if they say someone is sharing maybe an extreme political view, like say Hillary Clinton has Parkinson's. Some material doesn't always fit neatly into the provided categories. In those cases, raters label the material as unrateable, which just makes it probably unacceptable for advertising. So that's going on over, these ad raters. Yeah, that's a good name for them, D. Miller. Yeah, I know, right, Rikai? Seriously. That's what this is. This is gonna get how do you become one of these contractors? It's probably companies. It's probably a company. Should be some jobs out there. You're gonna watch YouTube. Anyways, of course, you'd have to probably watch some real crap. Imagine that. You'd probably really have to watch some stuff that's deep down into YouTube. Have you seen this? In fact, I can tell you where you could start. Check this out. This is really handy. There's a subreddit. Ah! There's weird stuff. Like, how would you categorize this one? I have to ask you. Alright, let's try it, guys. Let's see how we do. You ready? Alright, we're gonna play YouTube Ad Rater. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I think this is gonna be a big thing. It'll be come on down, guys. It's time for the YouTube ad rating program. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Here we go. The script's gonna give us a random video. Let's see how we'd rate it. The guy has just lit his hair on fire.
This is what the fucking people want.
And then they're lighting a blunt on fire. They're lighting a blunt with the dude's burning hair. And he's eating flaming something. He's eating flaming something.
For this shit? Yeah, man. Go. Get him. Get him, dog.
What's happening right now? What is... Oh my god.
Keep going, bro. Fucking nothing.
What is happening right now? This is triggering me. Oh! Oh, this is weird! Oh! Oh!
No!
No! I won't do it. I won't do it. And you know what's crazy? 6,000 views. 6,800 views. Look at that. 6,800 views. They've made $10 off this entire video. That's unbelievable. That's really unbelievable. What is the... Sometimes you feel like a nut, guys. Could you imagine the smell? Ugh. I don't... I don't understand. Okay, okay. Let's see, how would we rate this one? How would we rate this one? You guys ready for... I got 3 videos I'm going to pick from. He's taking a Q-tip, and what's he doing with it? Okay, it's sticking in his nose. What? Stop it! Stop it! No! No! Oh! Oh! Oh, that was no good. All right. Breaking news alert, the internet is full of disgusting people. I do not want to be a YouTube raider. I have changed my mind. I do not want to be an ad raider. Ugh! Get it off my screen. I can't do it. Ugh! See, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be an ad raider. I tried it. Ugh. Yeah, that one would be unrateable. Yeah, thank you. Okay, this could be good. This seems like this could change things around. Let's see, this could change things around. This could be genuinely funny. This could be good. So how would we rate this one? Okay, chat room, we're back to it. We're gonna go. We're gonna get back to our job again. We're ad raters. 42-second clip with 19,000 views, 310 likes, only 6 dislikes. So this one seems like it has some pretty good potential here. This one I'm feeling good about. How would we rate this video? Is this profanity? Is this sexual language?
As the whale was moved, the penis was exposed.
Notice, by the way, that there's no bone in this penis. It's completely flexible. It's actually probably the most amazing penis in the animal world. Because this penis is prehensile. Now, when you're a whale, you can't grab another whale with your flippers and hug it and make love to it. And you don't really have very good hips, so you can't really do that motion. So you gotta reach the female any way you can, and this is what they use. A penis that's completely flexible that can penetrate from almost any position. So whales don't have a favorite position. You know.
Whales don't have a favorite position. Okay, so chat room, how would you rate that video? Sexually explicit? Not safe for work. I mean, that's definitely not safe for work. Whew, that gave me a thrill. Educational, yeah, but no, you can't. Nothing's educational on YouTube. No, it's not. There's no free speech. There's no education on YouTube. No. That's not how you get paid as an ad raider. That's not how you get not flagging something. You get flagged by the amount of content. You get paid by the amount of content you flag. Figure it out. You want to make money? You flag the content. Not educational. Educational. What, do you want this place to go out of business? Are you trying to ruin our brand? Huh? We got bills to pay. You better flag that video. Educational. Did you hear how many times she said penis? She talked about sexual positions. That is not educational. That is not educational. It is disgusting. It is.
Can you hold for a second so I can show the penis?
Yeah. Guys, don't pull any more until I tell you, because we're just looking at something.
Can you hold that?
God, that is massive.
It is massive. This is the sheath holding the penis. And this.
There's a lot.
I didn't cut it off, guys. Come on. This is a whale's penis. And this is only part of it. Notice, by the way, that there's no bone in this penis. It's completely flexible. It's actually probably the most amazing penis in the animal world. Because this penis...
That's got to be at least a dozen penises already, guys. So there's no way this is educational. Come on. AT&T doesn't want their brand next to penises. Come on now. You know better. Come on. What do we rate this as? This is not educational. Come on, chat room.
Is prehensile. Now, when you're a whale, you can't grab another whale with your flippers.
So she's talking about whale rape. You hear this? This is not educational. This is whale rape.
And hug it and make love to it. And you don't really have very good hips, so you can't really do that motion. So you gotta reach the female any way you can, and this is what they use. A penis that's completely flexible.
Are other penises not flexible? Hey, Noah? Hey, Noah? Hey, Noah, do you have a bone in your penis?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a bone in your penis?
Yes, sir.
Hey, do you have a bone in your penis?
Bone is present, yes.
Could you,
Bone is present.
do you have a second? Do you have a second?
So, yeah.
I need to play something for you. This is really important.
Yeah, I'm coming.
So I don't know if you've heard, but you can get a job as an ad rater on YouTube as a contractor, and so we're just trying to figure out how we should rate this.
Oh, okay.
So I just maybe you could help me with this.
Okay.
Can you hold for a second so I can show the penis?
Yeah. Guys,
Oh, that's. I like this video
don't pull
already.
him off until I tell you, because we're just looking at something.
Can you hold that?
God, that is massive.
It is massive. This is
I've
the
heard that
sheath
before.
holding the penis. And this,
There's a lot.
I didn't cut it off, guys. Come on. This is a whale's penis. And this is only part
Gentle
of
with
it.
that tip.
Notice, by the way, that there's no bone in this penis. It's completely flexible. It's actually probably the most amazing penis in the animal world because this penis is prehensile. Now, when you're a whale, you can't grab another whale with your flippers.
That's true.
And hug it and make
true.
love to it.
That's true.
And you don't really have very good hips, so you can't really
No.
do that motion. So you got to reach the female any way you can, and this is what they use. A penis that's completely
She is
flexible.
really comfortable with that whale's
can
penis.
penetrate from almost any position. So whales don't have a favorite position. You know, like there's no such thing as missionary position. Although whales are one of the few animals that do mate belly to belly, like primates. But it's because of this ultra humongous penis that they can actually even have babies. So the sperm whale's sperm has to
So, anyways, ad rater, it's a new thing. Hey, hello, Mr. Dominic. Hello. You can get a job. You can get a job rating that stuff.
Hello, Mr. Fisher.
Hello. We were just talking that Google is freaking out and hiring contractors to go through and rate their videos, and so we were just little thought experiment with the chat room, figuring out how they'd rate that video. I missed you. It's good to see you again.
I
whoa.
missed you, baby.
What's going on over there? What is going on over there? Are you messing with your? I want to. There we go. There, I'm not cut up.
I was messing with my mic.
That's how we go. That's how we roll.
You know he's back. Did you know that?
No, what's Barack up to?
Brock is back and he is feeling relaxed and happy. I think he's he got some sunshine. He's got a tan, and he's feeling real good. He's feeling real good. He's feeling real good.
Please, everybody have a seat. Everybody have a seat. Have a seat.
Yeah.
So, what's been going on while I've been gone?
Oh, Barry, he's so back right now. He's so back. Other than that, good to go. I love your show notes. I'm pretty excited about that. You ready to start?
I'm ready to start. Let's do it.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Chat room, please bang suggest as we go along. We really are fueled by your titles, and if you don't give them to us, we die off. I don't know if you've ever seen Back to the Future where the family starts to disappear in the photo. That's Coda Radio. Bang suggest. Something 3 words or so that'll really help nail this show home to the people looking in their podcast catcher later on tomorrow night or tomorrow morning or whenever. Fired up, ready to go. All right, here we go. Here we go. Stop rating your ads on YouTube and pay attention to the Coda Radio program. It is time for us to start. Yeah, after I hit record. Okay, now we're ready. This is Coda Radio, episode 254 for April 24th, 2017. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coda Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show taking a pragmatic look at the art and business of software development and related technologies. This episode's brought to you by our 2 fine sponsors, DigitalOcean and Scale Your Code. I'll tell you more about those great sponsors as this here show goes on. My name is Chris, and joining us every single week, I think in the middle of a garage sale out on his lawn, why yes, folks, it's Mr. Michael Dominic. Hello, Mike. That was your cue. That was the spot where you come in, you unmute the microphone, and you say, Misa here. And then I say, hello, Mike. It's so good to be with you this week. You can give me the silent treatment if you want. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine.
Misa here now.
Ah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Why don't we do that one time again? Let's do it one more time. We'll do it over again. I missed you. I missed you. I have you muted on this end, just so you know. You're already muted. So you don't, for the intro, you don't have to. I got you muted.
No.
You think I'm a rookie? I got a pedal with your name on it right here. I can cut you out anytime I want. I got to cut him off. That's what I say, and then I hit it. All right, here we go.
If only someone had did that to Bill O'Reilly.
All right.
I think that we should
It's true.
all
It's true.
make those businesses fail.
Yeah, you were watching the whale penis video. I know what happened. All right, here we go. We're going to do a Coda Radio again. We're going to do it New York style this time. That means with just salt and pepper in a 3, in a 2. This is Coda Radio, episode 254 for April 24th, 2017. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coda Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and business of software development and related technologies. This episode is brought to you by our two fine sponsors, DigitalOcean and Scale Your Code. I'll tell you more about those great sponsors as this here show goes on. My name is Chris, and in the midst of a MacBook yard sale out on his lawn, perched and ready for action, it's our host, Mr. Michael Dominic. Hello, Mike!
Welcome to the Factor. Oh,
The No Spin Zone starts here because it's got to go somewhere. Actually, he can't take it. Sorry, Mike. He's going into podcasting, so you can't take it.
is he really?
Yeah, he's starting a podcast. Yeah, actually, he's restarting a podcast.
That's amazing. Let it be a call-in show, please.
Yeah, well, then he's gonna
no
have to.
producer, no screener.
He's gonna have to deal with a few calls. Mr. Dominic, super fired up about today's show. We got a great show. You on the front yard of the lawn, me here in the JB1 studio, and Uber all over the world making mistakes.
Ooh.
Plus, we have some Angular talk to get into. We got a little focus and gear talk towards the end, and a really cool tool of the week. I like all of it. Plus, this whole topic of the blue-collar job that we're going to get into here.
Yeah, super popular in the subreddit.
Yeah. So let's just start with there's hoopla that's happening right now. We'll just start with that because I think this Uber story is pretty relevant, fascinating, and interesting and deep. I'm going to be honest. I don't really follow all of the recent stuff going around with Uber. I know that they've been in a lot of controversy lately.
Well, how could you? It's
Well,
a full-time job.
to a degree, it has almost felt targeted. It's almost felt like Uber's under a sustained anti-PR campaign, and by doing so, they're just exposing a bunch of really dirty secrets. But this one seems particularly close to seems like they flied way too close to the sun on this particular one because they just about have their knees taken out from underneath them by Apple. And that started then when we started talking major cornerstone iOS store application, one of the big disruptors that's on mobile being kicked out, that kind of got my attention. That was whoa. And the fact that this whole thing went up to Tim Cook level, it went to CEO level, all of it's interesting. Where do you want to start with this?
Well, I mean, we should probably say what happens, but the end result was Travis Kalanick, the CEO of Uber, got a personal dressing down from Tim Cook. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So it seems to me that what happened is through a combination of exploiting private APIs, some clever math that they were doing, they were tracking users between installations and even formatting of devices. They claim they started doing this as sort of a fraud prevention when they launched in China, that they had people that their accounts were getting shut down, so then people just go create new accounts, and so they needed a way to detect this. And so what they figured out was, there's this private API we can use, this iOS Kit API that we can use, that will eventually get the serial number of the iPhone, and then we can do this little hash based on the serial number, and then we'll know. Then we'll associate that with the user's account, and then we'll know if we ever see that same hash again that they're on the same device, even if it's a different user account.
Yeah. So there's a couple things here, right? Back in the bad old days, you used to actually just be able to get the iPhone's UUID, which stands for unique.
Unique. Oh, wait, what does it stand? I used to know it.
It's basically a GUID, right? It's the unique device identifier.
Yep.
And then there was a different API when they deprecated that and told people you had to stop using it, where you would get like a generated UUID for that install of that device.
And that started in iOS 9, format. Right? Is that right?
That was or is
that 10?
iOS 7, dude.
Oh,
this is a long time.
Okay.
This has been against the rules. In fact, we covered it on one of the very early shows, and that was almost 3 years ago now. I mean, we're going on 400 years, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I remember that was a big deal for a couple of my customers because we were doing some stuff in the telephony space at the time, and we had a bunch of like iOS 5 code that totally used the original UUIDs that all had to be rewritten or else. Then you had these, let's call them marketing UUIDs. The idea was that you could track users to target them for marketing needs or just to know, how many devices they have for whatever reason. There are ways to still do that, but not to the level where Uber was doing, right? Uber didn't just want to track, this install of the Uber app on your phone. They wanted to track your phone as a unique device.
Right.
For presumably fraud reasons, but
you have to wonder, they must be doing this on Android too.
Well, on Android you do whatever the hell you want, right?
Yeah.
The thing that is a little creepy here, one, this is like one of those big caps and bold. You can't do this.
There's also, before you go much further, there's an interesting twist. Is they geofenced Apple HQ in Cupertino. Yep. And so they didn't use this API, and they did not generate this unique identifier if the iPhone was on the Apple campus to avoid app review.
Well, one of the things App Review does now is they have automated scripts that run and actually test if you're using private APIs, right? Because it's not that the API doesn't exist anymore.
It's for Apple only.
It's for Apple only, which, we're saying that laughing, but actually, you know what? There are private APIs for a reason. Right?
Yeah, but this also demonstrates that when you do this, there's people that will come up with ways around it if it's something valuable. Geofencing to try to block app review, it's cute. It also sort of forgot the fact that Apple is a worldwide company.
Yeah. Right. And like somebody is going to notice and get really upset. One of the creepier aspects of this is, did you hear about the Hell tool that they built?
Yeah. Well, roughly, my understanding was it's like a way to track certain users and like law enforcement. Is this right? Is that their same tool? Because they have a tool to do that.
It was to track folks who were driving for Lyft.
Oh, no, I guess I didn't know this.
Or there are two tools. There is a law enforcement one, but the one I'm thinking of, which I believe was called Hell, is to track journalists they don't like.
Oh, yeah, it was Grayball that they used to trick law enforcement. Right.
Yeah, Grayball is the one for I think, avoiding the sanctions in New York at the time or whatever. It seems to me that it would be possible if I could track a unique identifier on the phone to know who has Lyft install and maybe kind of be a jerk and not funnel customers to them, right?
Now, what also is creepy, just along that line of thinking, of course, is that what also was exposed is that Uber hired the services of unenroll.me, which a lot of people use. They associate it with their Gmail inbox or their inbox, and unenroll.me is a bulk unsubscription service. So, if you get spam or something like that, you hate these. You can just sit there and unsubscribe all day long. Or, thank goodness, this free unenroll.me service comes along. Phew, finally, something to automate this. Yeah, give access to my inbox. Have at it. And then it scans your inbox. It finds all these emails that it can unsubscribe from automatically, and it lets you bulk unsubscribe. It does do that functionality. What it also does is keep a copy of all the emails you receive since you signed up. Now, this is according to somebody who worked with the company. It stores them in an S3 bucket, and then it categorizes them. And companies like Uber come along, and they say to unenroll.me, show me all of the users that got an email receipt from Lyft, where they got an email receipt in their inbox. Now, unenroll.me says we randomized the IDs, so there's no way for Uber to know who these users are. But Uber was also able to figure out who's installing Uber across the entire phone wipe. So they obviously are correlating data. It would not surprise me if they were using data from companies like Unenroll.me. Now Unenroll.me is caught up in a controversy, and they say they're heartbroken. They're heartbroken that their users didn't understand how we were using their data. We're heartbroken that they thought we were an unenroll service. Heartbroken. Heartbroken.
This is a little weird, right? This whole thing. I mean, one, most developers wouldn't get a private meeting with Tim Cook and not, immediately thrown off the App Store, right?
Yeah, we got to wonder. He's probably walking in there like, so first of all, how did Apple know like all of this stuff? How did they find this? Did somebody tell them? Like, there are some serious questions here because of this guy. What was the Uber CEO? What was it?
Kalanick.
Kalanick?
Kalanick, yep.
That's kind of ironic. Kalanick. He's got a knack for getting in trouble is what he's got. Anyways, there are a few weird questions I have. So did he know going in that he was about to get a dressing down, or does he think like maybe there's some big deal coming? Like he and Apple are about to land some sort of big deal? What exactly did Uber know? And what did Apple know? Was Apple aware that Uber was keeping a database of unique iPhones at this point? What prompted Apple to look into it in the first place? That's another question. Why did they look into this? And then this guy sits down. He thinks he's about to have a meeting with Tim Cook about maybe integrating Uber at the share screen. And Tim Cook says to him, "So I hear you've been breaking some of our rules." And then he threatens to kick him out of the App Store over this.
Which means effectively shutting down his company, right? Like that would be saying goodnight. I mean, I guess they could do a progressive web app, but for something so consumer facing, that seems challenging.
Then I have another question. Why did none of this come out? Some of this is from back like in 2014 and forward. None of this came out until the Uber CEO was like a profile was being done by the New York Times. Why didn't Apple say something?
Well, I see Uber's been getting a lot of bad press, right? For various sexual harassment and
day after day, which almost makes which does make me. So one of the things I've definitely noticed is when there's a story that stays in the news on either a daily or weekly basis, there's usually a company behind putting that story out there. So there's a possibility that there's some sort of marketing company that's running a sustained campaign against Uber using their own dirty secrets. I mean, it's totally legit. It is an actual business practice because there's just been story after story, week after week now. And this is from 2014, and it's just now being exposed. It doesn't really matter, though. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, right? I mean, what does matter... I actually see this as a positive story in a weird way for iPhone users and for developers. One, it is, of course, mildly annoying that big developers get a break, right? But it's also nice to know that the break doesn't include just a free pass. You do have to like modify your behavior. You can't just do it and get away with it because you're Uber, right?
Well, apparently they did.
Well, no, but you can't continue to do it.
I don't know. I don't think it trickles down. So when I travel, I end up using Uber a lot because, in fact, I've even kind of shied away from admitting this on air because they're so controversial these days. But the reality is I'm in a 40-foot RV and I get somewhere, I'm not going to drive that thing around downtown. Right. And when you go to like Austin or when you go to San Francisco, by probably like a $10 margin, Uber is cheaper than paying for parking. I can Uber for $6 and I can park for $16.
Well, I mean, those fares are also like heavily subsidized, right? I mean, there is an issue that one day Uber needs to raise its prices. I mean, I think
there's that. But my point is that talking to the Uber drivers and seeing how busy it is down there and seeing how many new people are signing up to become an Uber driver, I don't think it's filtering down to the. I don't think the average people care that much either because to them it's really the relationships with the driver. It's not with Uber, the company that pays the driver. So it doesn't really matter to them. And the average Uber rider isn't trying to scam Uber. So they probably don't care if Uber's tracking across installs.
So you don't think that this is an issue that actual users are going to care about? So would your position to
I think a category of users, like those of us who check Hacker News and those of us who talk about it, we care. And I think it's definitely interesting to talk about from like a business side and a software development side because there's a couple of really interesting stories here. You just touched on the bias story. If this was Michael Dominic's company that was doing this, you would just be out of the App Store.
You would just get a form email, right?
Yeah,
And then
you're lucky
your
if you get a
account would be
phone
shut
call.
down.
You're lucky if you got a
You're not
Stern
gonna-
phone call.
You might get a Stern talking to and your account shut.
Instead, this is CEO to CEO level meeting that happens, and then everybody keeps it hush hush. Nobody gets in trouble. So there's an obvious bias angle here. There's a privacy aspect to this. There's this whole private APIs discussion on iOS again. There's the tracking aspect. The fact that Uber might actually have there is a legitimate issue here about trying to prevent fraud, and there is limited ways to do it, especially on iOS.
See, so I think there's actually a couple takes here in addition to that, right? There's the take of when you're working these proprietary walled gardens, one way to stand out or to give yourself an advantage is to push the boundaries, right? And this is not necessarily me endorsing this, but there is a very logical argument one could make that says, okay, they have to stop doing it, but how many years did they get to do it? And how much data did they collect? And what advantages did that give them?
And what about the Chinese market where maybe they're not updating as frequently over there?
Yeah, I mean,
if the infrastructure is in place, there could be Uber drivers over in China that are still driving with that and users. I mean, who knows? And again, like I say, and we don't know what the Android
with the data,
and we don't know
So
what's happening on Android.
it's probably true that the data is valuable within itself. So the fraud issue aside, it does seem like if I was Uber, if I was Kalanick, I might want to use this data to make my operations more efficient.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But there are other ways to get metrics. Like you can get iOS version and screen size without having to be creepy.
See, I think we're talking about traffic patterns and user behavior. I think we're talking about real,
like losing a user and then they come back kind of data, like they re-sign
real
up.
big data where you're putting it into some sort of algorithm and finding out like what actions do you take, or what acts of God, storms, things like that.
I have deleted the Uber app off my phone and then reinstalled it. So that would be I think that's actually an interesting metric.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a pretty basic metric, right? You could find that out just by assigning the install session a GUID on your own server, and when it doesn't ping for a month, say that user is inactive.
That's probably how some people do it.
Which is the kosher way to do this, by the way. That is the acceptable, non-violating way. Because if the person were to delete it and then reinstall it, they would get a new GUID, right? They'd get a new UUID because it's just your system generating the UUID. Or you could tie it to user accounts, and then you don't care about the devices. But I have a feeling they actually care about the devices, right? Because there's probably something different about someone who has it installed on more than one device. And this is conjecture about what the data might be. My larger point is maybe there's an argument that says bend the rules. Because if you're lockstep with the rules in these proprietary markets, there's nothing you're doing that your competitors can't, assuming they're not, in some way capital constrained, right?
But here's the other thing. When you're using Uber, it's tied to your credit card. It's tied to your name. It is way more identifying just using the Uber app than it is to pay a cab in cash. Because Uber is tracking your location at the moment you request the ride. Uber tracks your location during the ride. Uber tracks your location after you close the app in the background for a bit. They track law enforcement, they track themselves, but also you have a user account with a credit card on file. There is zero expectation of privacy when using Uber. And even if you don't understand background tracking, you understand that your credit card is on file. So I think people have a very low expectation of privacy on Facebook, and people have a very low expectation of privacy on Uber, and anything else where they have to put their address and their name and their credit card in. So I actually kind of tend to agree with you. Well, let's experiment with tracking across installs, because that does actually seem to be a semi-valuable data point. It does seem like a legitimate way to also prevent fraudulent Uber driver accounts, which would be not only good for the business, but protecting riders. Could even be a safety issue. You got to do it somehow. And it's probably something you can do on Android, either implicitly or explicitly. So iOS has to come to some sort of resolution on this, and the only way to figure it out is probably a company like Uber. It might be better than a smaller company that you don't really know what they're going to do with the data, what safeguards they have in place, what policies they have. If there's a lawyer's office, you can call and say, all right, now you've got to stop. The fact that you can have a CEO to CEO level meeting, somebody's got to push the boundary. The way Apple works, it can't be a tiny shop. It's got to be a big company that probably has some leverage in the conversation. They legitimately add value to the Apple iOS platform. If you don't fall into that category, and there's probably only about 10 or 15, 30 developers that do, then you don't have a lot of leverage. So it takes somebody that has leverage. It takes somebody that has a reason. It takes somebody that has a data policy. It takes somebody that has a business around it. So I kind of tend to agree with you, even though on its face it's abhorrent and it fits into an awful narrative about Uber right now. But it's isolated out on its own. It almost seems like it could have some legitimate uses. And somebody's got to break the rules to try it, right?
I think it's fair. I mean, we should probably move on from this.
Okay.
But like one tiny point too is, Uber is behaving like a lot of LA startups, move fast and break things, very little regard for the rules. But the problem is they're actually like a really big company now.
Yeah.
So people are starting to
the geofencing to try to get around Apple and that kind of shit. That's where it starts to get a little dicey for me.
Well, it's almost like if you were to become president, right? At some point you're expected to behave like a gentleman, not a frat boy. And Uber obviously is having lots of problems in that department.
Well, it's those cabs. We got to blame those cabbies. It's got to be that's what it is. Before we move on, actually, we have a lot. Let's get into some Angular talk, but let's start by talking about DigitalOcean, our first sponsor this week. Go to DigitalOcean.com, create an account, and then apply our promo code once you've created the account. It's Coder Digital, one word. It'll give you a $10 credit, and that actually gets you quite a bit of mileage up on DigitalOcean. $5 a month for the starting rig. That's not bad. 512 megs of RAM, single core, a terabyte of transfer, 20 gigabytes of SSD storage, and you get their awesome, beautiful UI. You get all of the applications you could deploy on any of the rigs. You can add block storage if you want more. I love this. So you could start with a $5 a month machine and then attach highly available, scalable SSD block storage to your Droplet as you need it. Just keep on adding it in there. It's so cool. They've got monitoring to alert you when something's wrong or if performance isn't up to snuff. All integrated in. You look like a boss, 1 or 100. You look like a boss. DigitalOcean.com. Sign up. Use our promo code, CoderDigital, one word, and you get a $10 credit. The other thing I really like about DigitalOcean, obviously SSDs throughout. I love that. You use KVM and Linux for the infrastructure. Data centers all over the world. 40 gigabit E-connections into the hypervisor. Pre-built open source applications ready to go to get work done. You're working on Docker, Node.js, Rails. You want to do some MongoDB stuff, some Redis, some Cassandra. They got all pre-built images ready to go with legit sources, either from the project or from the distro repo, whatever the industry practice. They got the GPG keys you might need to update Docker. It's built on top of an LTS Linux base. You can also use rigs hourly. So for 3 cents an hour, 2 gigs of RAM, a 2-core processor, 40 gigabytes of SSD, and 3 terabytes of transfer. For 3 cents an hour. And just keep it running, or just try something out for a little bit and then shut it down, or run it for immediate infrastructure. Our buddy Alan over at Scale Engine, they had a huge sporting event across the pond. This is one of the frequent things of Scale Engine. Just tens and tens of thousands of people watching. They can take advantage of DigitalOcean using their API and spin up additional infrastructure as they need it all around the world. Oh, man, it really is the future. DigitalOcean.com, use our promo code CoderDigital. Apply it to your account, get a $10 credit, and a big thank you to DigitalOcean for sponsoring the Coder Radio program. Angular 4.0 is out. The invisible makeover, that doesn't sound particularly all that upsetting. It sounds nice, well-paced. What do we think, Mike?
Well, I actually had an opportunity to try something with it. That's why we're taking a look at it now.
Love it.
Love it. It's a good improvement, right? It goes up to TypeScript 2.2, which I think is going to be one of the more popular features, because I know folks are pretty, how they feel about TypeScript. Animations, which are a pain in the ass, are now moved into their own package. Theoretically, actually not theoretically, totally in practice, it makes your Angular application smaller for those who care about that. View Engine is faster and generates less code. I tried to dig into this a little bit. The basic argument seems to be because it generates less code, it is therefore faster. So less clock, right?
Sure, yeah.
They did put out some benchmarks. Yeah, right. I mean, we could put out benchmarks that say a MacBook lasts 20 hours.
It says they reduced the size of code generated by around 60% in most cases.
Yeah. I did some trivial tests. It definitely is faster than Angular 1 for sure, and then Angular 2. I don't know that it's... I wouldn't bill it as the top feature, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Like, we're not talking native performance here still. But
I like, though, that it's a step in the right direction. Also, the 1980s computer user in me likes the pulling the animations out of core and into their own package. So if you don't use animations, the extra code doesn't end up in your production bundles, which that I really appreciate. Just a small thing, but the 1980s computer user in me that had to run off floppy disks really appreciates that.
Yeah, for the actual more, there's two more interesting things I think are the improvements and additions to the NJ-if. So that's, the if checking in your templates, and NJ4, obviously looping in your templates. There's small changes, like there's an else now, yay. But I think they're going to clean up a lot of spaghetti code for a lot of people. I know a pretty common complaint I hear from people about Angular is that it tends to be a little less elegant looking than, say, React. The other interesting thing is they've been pushing Angular now as one framework for all your clients. So you would actually just ship like a Angular application, like a progressive web app for all screen sizes. Going a little more along the lines for React, or actually this other project I've been looking at, Google Polymer. That's super interesting, right? Because that says that they're actually skating to where the puck, I think, in 3 years is going, that most of these applications are going to be PWAs. I don't know, it's weird because I prefer Angular over React, but I'm not super excited for Angular 4. It's a project that is really useful, but also almost moving too fast for me. For instance, we just started deploying Angular 2.
Yeah, okay.
So it's another sign of this kind of JavaScript churn, right? How quickly the JavaScript frameworks are moving. Having said that, it doesn't seem like awful. Like, one thing I'm considering is what would the migration story look like for a pretty large scale Angular 2 application to go to Angular 4? I don't know. I haven't tried it. I'm considering maybe taking a look at it over the weekend. And I'm also, so there's a lot going on here, right? Because there is an element, I feel, of keeping up with the Joneses. Just looking at conversations I'm having with people, RFPs, things like that. React just seems to be kicking the shit out of them. Like, it's pretty bad. I'm not sure how React got so much mind share in such a relatively short amount of time, but they definitely have.
Somebody should do a case study and then apply it to their own project.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
So this is an interesting little update from the Stanford CS department. A little twist in the Java story over at Stanford.
Yeah, so they're dropping Java for their introductory course and going to JavaScript.
What, Mike? What?
I know, and we put this one in special for all the folks who email us asking where to start. Apparently, it's not Java anymore.
I kind of agree. This kind of makes just what's so much. It's not that nothing against Java at all, but Jesus, look at JavaScript. I mean, talk about a really employable, applicable skill to learn.
Yeah, but that's
the whole damn world runs in JavaScript. Everything.
Yeah, but every 5 years it changes. I mean,
I don't know, man. I think JavaScript's past that 5-year mark and it's still around. And we're getting to the point now where It's being used in massive enterprise applications and management systems and control panels and that kind of stuff. Once it's around, it becomes like the VB of the world. It can really stick. I think it's becoming pretty well entrenched. It's not going anywhere. Not that Java really is either, but I think it makes sense.
From a vocational perspective, I totally agree with you, right? Like it just makes sense. But learning Java teaches you like classical O design and architecture. There are tons of Java jobs out there.
Well, what do you think about a lot of other schools' CS departments are moving to Python from Java? What do you think of that? Python. In fact, I just heard a commercial on the radio here in Seattle yesterday for Python courses.
So it's weird, right? I think JavaScript's a little more practical, but Python's a little more stable. I mean, somebody in the chat just put JavaScript, a new framework to learn every month.
Keeps everybody employed in the education industry. Yay!
Right. That's kind of right. I mean, I understand that, like, a school is going to teach the language, not a framework, but it does seem, particularly with things like TypeScript really starting to gain traction, it does seem like it's a little unstable as like your foundational learning.
Well, Java's still king. Java. There was a recent survey by CSE members, and they put together their data online as part of an educational survey. Python appeared 60 times in the survey, C++ 54, JavaScript 28, and Java 84 times. So Java's still king. So don't worry.
Well, there are enterprise applications with hundreds of thousands or millions of lines of Java code, right? Yeah. That no one's rewriting.
Don't fret. It's still alive and well, and still the king. But if you're just looking for employment, there is something to it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking to work in the mines every day, maybe JavaScript is the way to go.
The new blue collar work is coding, according to Mark Zuckerberg, and I could see it. I honestly could. When you see Hour of Code, and we're going to teach everybody to code, and you have Swift Playgrounds on the iPad, and I could see it. If you make coding as easy as HyperCard, yeah.
Wow, dig deep.
Yeah, I could see it. I really could, because what it really comes down to is, what do you define as programming and developing? Can arranging systems and components be a form of development? Because if it is, I think it could be. I could see lower skilled workers that are just connecting containers and connecting APIs, putting stuff together, and doing dark matter type development at a desk somewhere. I could definitely see.
I can even see like business folks, right? Accountants working in Excel. Many of them, especially particularly younger ones, an advantage they have is they know how to write their own macros, right?
If you consider like macro development or something as complex as macro development, maybe it's a different type of thing because it's through online services. But yeah, that would, I think, be blue collar development, wouldn't it?
Or even like simple scripting for a lead page or a CRM or something like that. I mean, if you're a salesman using Salesforce and you can do just some relatively conceptual design, you can actually get pretty far with their Lightning tool, right? Off the top of my head, I could think of like 4 or 5 packages that enterprises use that even a basic knowledge of just like the fundamentals of programming, not even like a language in particular, you could probably automate some of the tedious aspects of your job away by scripting it out.
Or connecting if this then that to the Amazon Echo.
Yeah, IFTT. And that is a form of development, right? It's not
actually. So I can actually say this now. I saw a confidential product at Dell that it was announced today that it is for businesses, and it allows you to basically create your own local Internet of Things. So you don't have to go out to like public services and APIs. There's like a Dell system running on Ubuntu that runs on the edge of your network, and you have like sensors at a machine, and you have a servo at a door or a valve, and you have these things all over your business or your warehouse or whatever it is, and they all provide data back to this little central thing. And the whole idea is that what they're trying to solve is this problem where there is a lot of little automated processes that happen, but to get them to happen, it's all these different systems. And so they built this whole thing, and then sort of as a stretch project at the end of it, they said, you know what we ought to try doing is now simplifying it even further and putting the Echo in front of that. So they put an Echo Dot, and so they have a little test case where you can turn on a valve or stop and start a machine, and the workers can do it all by just barking at the Echo.
Right.
And they go from having to be specialized trained in like these 3 different systems to just barking at the Echo, and now they just connect the pieces. So they bring in this sensor into the IoT gateway, and then they connect that IoT gateway's API to the Echo, and they're done. And so they're not doing any development, but they're just bringing 3 pieces together and plugging them in, and done.
It's basically an internalized IoT network. Is
Yes.
what it sounds like.
Yeah, and
That's
they
really
connect the
interesting.
components, and that's their level of
That's
development. They don't develop the
super
individual components.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
actually kinda
it
like
was
that idea a
announced.
lot.
It was announced through the Linux Foundation today.
Oh
So-
my God. That was just like, hey Tux, how you doing?
Yeah, they really are. Yeah,
They're straight up Bill O'Reilly.
Dell didn't even want to run the announcement themselves because they wanted it because they're doing it as an open source thing. So they worked with the Linux Foundation. Like 22 other companies are all in on this, and they're
Well,
going
I mean,
after like the more like manufacturing enterprise stuff.
Makes sense. Stuff we could automate. I mean, just on a much less impressive level, I'm still using BotKit to work on my Gretel bot, right? To harass people in Slack and get them to fill out harvest and stuff like that. I'm hoping to have another release soon, but just that kind of admin work, now that more and more organizations are going distributed and working in things like Slack or HipChat, I can see a lot of those kind of admin, assistant type jobs going away and just being custom written bots or off the shelf bots modified.
Yeah. The times are changing because if you can have, so we have little things that will, when we make if we need to make a calendar change on the live schedule, when we make the change, it'll go into a room in Slack, and then we can have somebody verify the change. At that point, you can look in that room in the morning and see what shows are going to be live that day, where then you can, flag something for a change. Like, it's a pretty cool little system that might have been something that a human did at some point in the past, but now it's just a room in a channel. I mean, it's just a bot in a channel.
And if you have more discipline than me and can avoid the temptation to rewrite it in TypeScript, we'll save a lot of time.
ScaleYourCode.com. Go to ScaleYourCode.com and sign up. It's a nice, clean, low-flow mailing list, 2 to 3 emails a month, probably at max, where you get access to interviews and how-tos and inside looks with real industry experts, people that have done this stuff. They've tried it. Maybe they've had a few mistakes they've learned from. They've built teams. They've had to scale their infrastructure. In fact, I was looking, speaking of JavaScript, I was looking at this one, JavaScript and its role in artificial intelligence, AR, and VR. It's from Eric Elliott, the author of Programming JavaScript Applications for O'Reilly. And of course, he's worked for Adobe, he's contributed to Zumba, the fitness app, the Wall Street Journal, BBC. He's worked with music artists online. And he lives in the San Francisco area down there doing things. And I'll tell you what, I have to imagine after our JavaScript conversation and talking about the future of JavaScript and where it's going, when you get into AR and VR, if JavaScript has already got a beachhead there, it's definitely going to be around for a while. So you can find that interview and many, many, many more at ScaleYourCode.com. Go there, you sign up, you get access, and then you're in. You're in like Flynn. You get access to not just those, but a bunch of great interviews from folks like at Basecamp, founder of Ruby on Rails, folks and engineers at Google. It's an incredible value, and there's more getting added. ScaleYourCode.com. You go there, you sign up. It's easy peasy. Of course, and you could always unsubscribe at any time if you'd like. You get access not just to the interviews, but tutorials and blog posts as well. ScaleYourCode.com. And a big thank you to Scale Your Code for sponsoring the Coder Radio program. Now, why is Mike out on his lawn this week? Why is he out on a yard sale doing this on his front yard? Well, Mike's looking to sell a MacBook.
What?
Lightly used MacBook.
Actually, Mike's selling a bunch of Macs.
Is this not the new one?
No, it is. It's all of them.
It's all of them. All of the Macs. Hey, Noah, it's all the Macs. Noah's going to love that. Wow. And the LG monitor too, right?
Yep, and the LG, yep.
Did you have like an episode or something and then you just woke up and were like, oh God, what did I do? I mean, like, what just happened? Because last week we were talking about how it's a tool that you're getting some work done. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of understand, man. I kind of see where you're coming from. I kind of understand now. And now this week.
Well, so a couple things.
Whiplash. Time travel. Something happened. What was it?
I decided to climb this mountain.
Yeah. Why? Because it was there?
There was this burning bush. And in the bush was a face. He looked at me and he said, "My son, it's negative in the freedom dimension."
Yeah.
And then I was struck down.
His brain is gone.
So I spent the weekend, celebrating a birthday for my son, Whoop, 1-year-old.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And 2, thinking a lot about, my business and where things are going, and realizing that the future, I think, and I wrote a post about this on DominicM.com called, I forgot, but it's the most recent one, is not going to be in native app development for me.
Would you say the tools for doing your development work on Ubuntu are sufficient? Would you say they're better than they were on the Mac? Would you say they're a compromise? How would you classify because you are making a commitment now to a totally different tool set in Chain
and GNOME, but that's a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
I would say for the last 2 years, since 2015, I think I've been struggling with a lack of focus. I haven't shipped a lot of first-party stuff. I've done a lot of different projects and different technologies. I did a few WPF projects. I did a universal platform Windows project, an Android project. A bunch of Android jobs, a lot of Rails, a lot of Docker. And that has kind of a tremendous overhead where I got to the point where basically our position and my position was, we'll do anything for anybody for any reason. And that's not really true, right? And it's less about the technology stacks and more about what I want to be doing is providing solutions for companies to modernize their legacy systems or to write them new systems, that leverage containerization, assuming they're on Linux, which most of them are, to kind of, ease their DevOps journey, right? The idea is, we're not going to get into it. We can have a DevOps conversation in another week. But the idea is that is the thing I want to be focusing on. And there's some obvious reasons for that. One, businesses tend to be better customers than people. And I've actively avoided people as customers, right? Individuals. I did start doing a little bit of advertising towards iOS development in the last 2 months. And I ended up turning down a couple contracts because it was the kind of, and I mean this in a non-derogatory way, but the kind of wannabe app entrepreneur thing, right? One fellow said he was going to be opening up his 401k to do it, and I said absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So this is not the kind of client base you want.
It's not the kind of client you want. You know what? Those people are really risking their lives on this stuff, and unfortunately, it is my belief that the app market is so saturated that an individual, let's say they're ripping open their 401k and spending $20, $50, $1,000, whatever, it's just not going to be able to do it, right? There may be, of course, in fact, the analogy I used with him on the phone was, Derek Jeter exists, right? He just retired 2 years ago, but Derek Jeter does exist. But the tens of thousands of other kids who want to be shortstop for the Yankees end up being sales guys at car lots, right? You just don't. Most people lose, right? And it's not like that 50% lose. It's that 0.00001% don't lose.
You think it's about setting realistic expectations for yourself and goals?
I think everything is about expectations, right? And I think the app market is at the point where it's not realistic, even for me, right? Even for me, who's someone who doesn't have the cost of hiring someone else to do it.
So you sell a lot of false hope, and you burn through that pretty quickly because then they run out of money, and so it's a high burn rate. There's a bad feeling to it.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the business of selling people things that don't work, and I haven't, right? I haven't really sold that product.
I definitely noticed when I was in the IT contracting and consulting business that very, 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 very first thing I did was get out of homes. No way. Much better working with businesses.
Too hard. And the reality is containerization, Docker, line of business web applications, all as a package, you know what? Businesses need these things, right? They have compliance issues. They have existing systems that their employees are using. Maybe they're, I don't know, running on Rails 2 and they need to be upgraded to Rails 5. Not that that's something I'm really doing.
This is all resonating good with me, Mike. I mean, I'm on board. I'm following you. I'm thinking this is sounding like some good realizations here. What's not clicking for me though is last week we were talking Docker on Mac, and you're like, you know what? It's not bad. So I don't see how the two connect still. Tell us, is it more about? So when you say focus, what all does that mean?
Well, one, you only need so many computers.
Yeah, and they're expensive computers.
Right, and I have like 3 Mac Minis sitting in a closet somewhere.
Yeah,
it's a little excessive.
Yeah.
I tend to work on Ubuntu mostly for anything that wasn't, Apple, right, or for some VPN reason needed to be Apple. But for the VPN problem, you know what? You could almost certainly throw a VMware workstation on there and just install the Windows version, right? And then you do your VPN stuff on Windows and you're fine. I do think that Docker works fine on Mac. I still think, and it's pretty much accepted, that it works better on Linux. In fact, when you install the Docker app on Mac, it actually installs Alpine Linux under the hood. And it runs in that. So that's kind of how that works.
That doesn't sound like a hack at all. That doesn't sound hacky at all.
No, it's actually pretty good. Alpine is very, very small.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if you didn't know, you wouldn't know at all, right? Like
yeah.
if I didn't say it, I think most people who have it installed don't know it. What I'm finding is that I'm just simply more efficient. Now, GNOME has been curious. So that was a little disappointing.
And you did Ubuntu GNOME, right?
Yeah, so it actually, right now I'm on the Raytel, which actually just has like GNOME.
Yeah. And Ubuntu GNOME, no disrespect to the projects, I believe this is their intent, has got to be the most boring, vanilla, straight up, nothing going on implementation of GNOME I've ever used. I mean, I don't often install GNOME on Debian.
I was just going to say that I like it better.
Really?
I'm a lemur. I did the actual Ubuntu GNOME version of the distro from a clean install, and it just seems to be working a lot better.
Well, good for you. Good. I'm glad you landed on something. That's nice.
Well, I'm boring, right? I'm sitting in an ID, I'm sitting in.
And I one of the things that Noah and I can't stop talking about, because he's out at the studio right now, and one of the things we can't stop talking about is what a huge deal it is that Red Hat and SUSE and Canonical and a lot of others, including a bunch of people in the community, are all working on GNOME right now. Everybody's attention, everybody's effort's going to be on GNOME. And there's another really big thing that's changing that could maybe see more contributions. I already am noticing a lot more people trying GNOME, a lot more people talking about GNOME, asking me questions about GNOME, and a lot more articles about theming GNOME are coming out now. So there's already a lot more community energy and attention. But I think one of the things that we could see sort of hopefully develop is now a real focus around Flatpak, which would be sort of a universal way to distribute applications. The Solus distribution, that's officially now how they're going to bring in third-party software, is you don't even bother with the repos. We're just going to take Flatpaks. Now every desktop running GNOME is going to have Flatpak support. So this could be a huge shift in how you deliver desktop software to Linux, because you're going to know everybody has Flatpaks.
So the other part of this is I'm pretty sure that desktop software is not going to matter.
Well, yeah, there's that. There is that.
Right. So, and the other thing is we had a conversation about a week ago because that was our weird 2-week schedule thing. So probably 3 days ago, who knows, where I was starting to teeter on the whole native versus web thing. But then I had a couple meetings and reality hit me. No one's paying for native. That's not going to happen. It's true. And you don't need to. And the truth is, and in fact, not only is it not going to be native, but I would say that hybrid is the present. But we're eventually just going straight PWA, right? Straight progressive web apps.
I mean, you still got to get the server-side stuff installed. But everybody use everybody use Snap packages for that.
Right, I'm talking about the client, right? Oh, you could use Snap pack, or just ship it as a container, Chris.
Well, I'm
just saying you can do your own version.
Although you need a sane way to manage the software in the containers. There's still that.
You do, or you could break it up into multiple containers. But we can talk about that all day
long. That's a whole show. That is a whole other show.
And then somebody who likes BSD will get in the chat room and start ranting and raving.
So now is your intention once you sell all these Macs to like buy a Linux rig, or are you just going to keep the money and?
I'm just gonna keep the money. I mean, I thought about selling the Lemur and looking at either a Gallico or an XPS. That's a lot of work, right? I think I'm relatively happy. I'm happy with my Raytel. I wish I had a better keyboard on the Lemur, but.
So you think becoming a specialist in Docker and containerized applications, there's like a real business opportunity there. There's enough market demand around that and acceptance.
Well, I would phrase it differently.
Okay.
The thing I am focusing on is modernizing legacy applications with DevOps practices, usually by using Docker, right? And reducing downtime and reducing overhead and allowing faster shipments. So you have to remember, especially to like some of our younger folks in the audience, you guys are all in on like CodeShip and GitHub and all that kind of cool swanky stuff. Most enterprises are not. Some of them are like FTPing things up to the server still.
Oh yeah.
And it takes like a week or two to do a staging deployment. So there is a huge like return on let's say they hire us for 100-hour engagement. That's a huge ROI just getting them into a kind of continuous delivery situation, a little more of a DevOps flow.
Interesting. That makes sense. That's awesome. Well, I'm both surprised and impressed. It seems like you've taken decisive action, Mr. Dominic. It's funny because I've recently come to a conclusion that I actually think the MacBook Pro is a competitive device, and I think it's actually, for what you get, if you're using it as a editing machine, it is worth the money. Just after doing a little recent market evaluation.
It's not a bad computer at all. It's just I can only do, in my opinion, one or two things at a time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the key. Like, I look at it from Alton Brown has some wise words in his Good Eats program, and it's definitely worth checking out on Netflix if you've never seen it before, or just watch it again. And one of the things that Alton always says is try not to have a unitasker in your kitchen. And the MacBook Pro is definitely a unitasker. Looking at it, it barely manages to outclass my 2013 pretty much fully spec'd out MacBook Pro, except for when it comes to running Final Cut. And then it just devastates my MacBook Pro. And of course, that's what I would primarily use it for. But right. I would also be spending nearly $3,000 to get a machine that also isn't a very good gaming machine or can't really do VR, which is kind of disappointing because in the past, when you bought a computer that was fully spec'd out and capable of being like a high-end development machine or a high-end editing machine, it often did double duty as a great gaming machine too, which was a perk. But no, it can't really do that. And it's just sort of all limited. So it's sort of disappointing. So I can understand there's not a lot of value you can drive from it. If you have a specific work task for it where it really excels at, and I think Final Cut could be one of them, then I think it's probably worth the investment. But if you felt like it wasn't really up to the different various tasks and it's not any more competitive than an Ubuntu machine, and I commend you for taking decisive action, sir.
Yeah, it's not that I don't think it can do the job, right? I just don't prefer it, and I don't need 4 computers.
So it is partly a preference thing.
It is mostly a preference thing, I would say. I just think that, well, I know that, right? I know that little weirdness with installing GNOME after the fact aside.
Yeah, that is sometimes a little clunky.
I'm more efficient on this machine.
Yeah, I noticed that about GNOME too. I feel GNOME is
on the Lemur, right?
Mac OS shows its age. It's what, 11 years old, and it really draws a lot of its usage paradigm from either Next or from
OS
really,
9 even.
Yeah, that's the primary. Yeah. And those are extremely old usage paradigms where GNOME really was willing to just screw a lot of traditional convention. And when GNOME 3.0 was rough, I mean, it was one of the reasons I think we got Unity and Mate. And so now, though, over time, they have really gotten it somewhere pretty great. And with the addition of a few extensions, it really is the best desktop environment I've used in my entire life, having been around since before we had GUIs, mainstream GUIs, to where we're at now. I've never used a better UI. I've never worked better.
Right. Yeah, and it's also really nice, especially for all this containerization stuff, to have the environment that I'm using for testing and development. Now, granted, I've become very VM happy because you just every client gets a VM.
We should talk about that too someday. I know we got to go soon, but we should talk about that too. Like what kind of tools are you using? What are you liking the best under Ubuntu, like VM and text
we
editors?
could do it next week. Yeah, because I mean, weirdly enough, Visual Studio Code has somehow not gotten deleted yet. It's that damn IntelliSense is so damn good.
I want to know all the things like virtualization. Just talk about all that. How your terminal set up. We could just do a whole setup episode one day.
Whole tools, okay. And it's me@spin.com.
What? No, what? Don't say
That's my
that.
background.
What? No, don't say that. People don't say that. Oh my.
Just stroke it a little bit.
All right,
There we
Mr.
go.
Dominic.
I
Oh, we
guess
have
we're
a
done.
tool of the week. I'll quickly plug it as we're going out the door. A classic Tomb Raider open source engine, OpenLara. It'll be linked in the show notes. That's pretty awesome. And guess what?
What's not to love?
It's got a WebGL demo. Oh man, you sold me with the WebGL demo, Mr. Dominic. Where can people find you throughout the week?
You can find me at Dumanuco. Oh, and if you go to Buccaneer.io, we're actually doing a promo if you want to have a conversation about containerization and DevOps.
Brilliant.
So.
Sounds like a great time to take advantage of that too, so check that out. You can also follow me. I'm at Chris LAS, the network at Jupiter Signal, coderradio.reddit.com, and jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact for feedback. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right back here next week. Well done, sir. Good episode. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. JBTitles.com, what do you say?
JB title.
That's ironic. It's so ironic because I think I'm going to end up with a MacBook, and I think you're getting rid of a MacBook. I think it's pretty.
I think for
great.
good reasons, right? I bought it for a job that required it. The job's over.
Yeah, I get it. I
The
grok.
job's over
I
on
grok.
Friday.
Yep, I grok.
Yeah.
And I think I would do the same.
And also,
I would do the
nice thing
same.
about Macs is you can sell them back for basically what you bought them for.
It's true.
It's internal like a great
I would
profit on
probably,
that.
yeah, I would probably make the same choice myself.
Right. Well, in 2 months when they release a new one, or 3 months, you won't be able to get that kind of return.
MacBook yard sale's not bad. It's probably going to put off a few of the automatic Apple haters. Docking with Love, practically programmable penis, probably not that. The big
think
floppy
you're-
whale penis, probably not that.
I think you're selling the programmable penis a little short.
Yeah, as RMS always says.
Just stroke it a little bit.
Just as he always says.
Just be patient.
Yeah. Hello, Mr.
Best
Popey.
coder ever.
Hi.
Hey, Pope.
I miss Popey. I haven't seen him for I haven't heard from him in a few weeks. I noticed he shaved though. I think I saw him go by on Twitter, and I seemed like he had not recently shaved, but recently since I'd seen him shaved.
An uber-sized whale penis. That's gold.
Let's not.
You don't want to get pulled down from YouTube and have all your advertising stopped? What? Not something you're interested in?
No. MacBook yard sale, whale penis. The best penis is a whale penis.
Yeah, the problem with MacBook yard sales, there's going to be like 100 people who look at it and then just like don't watch it and write stuff in Reddit.
You know, I should have said in the show, but I believe when you first started getting back into Linux again, I said you should try out GNOME. I think I was saying, and I didn't disparage Unity because you know what? I actually think Unity is not bad either. I know everybody around here loves to hate it, but I actually think, you know what? It's not bad. And one of the nice things, it's been very consistent, which is not nice for me, but nice for a lot of people. But I think GNOME just always felt like where the puck was going. What?
Oh, I hear Noah just like screaming.
Oh god, because he knows he's always because this guy he's the single biggest Unity hater, and he's probably one of the single biggest installers in the area of Unity. He gives everybody Unity desktops, and then he's always going on about how much he hates Unity. And then he talks about how there's things only Unity can do, and now he's sad that Unity is going to go away because there's things only Unity will do. But then he talks about how he hates. I'm just saying, Noah, there's some hypocrisy.
That's amazing.
So anyways, MacBook yard sales winning. I just worry about putting off anti-Appleites, but and we also talked about a lot more stuff before we got to the MacBook.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about the MacBook for that long.
We talked about Angular. We talked about JavaScript. Oh, you don't. Now he doesn't hate Unity. Never mind. Apparently, I've mischaracterized all of the horrible things he said about Unity.
Who wants to speak ill of the dead, right?
Oh, I think it's not that he hates Unity. I think he hates the fact that it can't do networking. I think it's something like that.
Oh.
I understand it's the networking thing. Okay, god damn it. Now I stepped in it.
Just going to hear about it all day.
I've triggered him because he doesn't like this
You triggered him?
narrative because there's narratives online. I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean to further an inaccurate narrative.
Thought it was a safe space. Now it's not.
I know. You know what? I lured him into a safe space and then I triggered him. It's my bad. That's on me. That is on me. All right. MacBook yard sale, big floppy whale penis, angular version fatigue. That's close, but probably not it. Docking with love has got no votes. Should we just do MacBook yard sale? I mean,
I don't want to because we're just gonna get bitched at and people aren't gonna listen to it, and then they'll listen like 2 weeks later and be like, oh, that was actually okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
I kind of agree with you.
like I don't hate docking with love, but it's kind of not.
What was
good.
our episode last week? Haven't we had a Docker title recently?
We had like 3 episodes last week. I don't even know what the fuck
Yeah,
we
they all
did.
blur together. All the days blur together too. So we had I guess we haven't had a Docker title for some time. I thought we did, but it's
Well, last week was 4K of sin. Yeah, no, we don't want to do the MacBook thing.
yeah, right.
And then before that was dysfunctional and roadshow. Yeah, we had a lot of.
So
250 was captivated by containers.
captivated by containers. That's what it was.
But that was 4 episodes ago.
It's a month ago. So docking with love is not bad. I feel like it's more accurate than MacBook.
How about riding the whale? That's Docker and whale penis.
Riding the whale isn't bad. That's actually pretty good because it also says like building a business on top of it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Did somebody just suggest that or did you come up with that?
I just came up with that.
Damn, dude. What do we even have JB titles for? Shit.
Just rocking it. You know how it
Going
is.
with that. I'm going with that right now, Mike. You win the title. Riding the whale.
And this is the United States, people. Democracy can suck it.
Yes.
Look at your popular vote. Sorry.
Now, Mr. Dominic, are we off for next week? Is there anything we need to worry about schedule-wise, or you just want to ping me on
We are
Slack
okay
about
for
that?
next week.
Okay.
So I was 1 week off.
Oh, okay. I do that all the time. So
Yeah, we are okay for next week.
okay. All right.
The following week, we're totally fucked.
Okay.
Because I'm on a plane.
It's a little crazy
Then-
for me that week too, because I think that's Linux Fest weekend.
Wait, no. Wait, I might be wrong. You know what? Let me hit you back on Slack.
Okay.
I may land early enough that I'm gonna have to do it from the road though, and it's gonna be like outside in Florida.
You really will be on the lawn.
No, yeah, it's Florida, so I'm assuming I'll be riding the back of an alligator,
Awesome.
bare-chested.
God damn
Yeah.
it. I wish I was down south right now. Washington is disappointing me in the weather department.
It's gotta be ice cold up there. But, all right, man, let me go because I have to
Yeah.
pee.
Okay.
I have to take a giant pee-pee, and
All
you
right.
know what that means.
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna contribute it to the open source bathroom.
There you go. All right, Mr. Dominic, have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye, Z's. Chat room, the Ask Noah program is coming up in just a few short shakes, so stick around.
You had one job!
And Ask Noah will be jumping on to give you what's what. I hope you enjoyed today's program. I'm going to be ending the stream here and going out and getting some Chinese food because that's what's up. There's a Chinese place that Noah really likes nearby, and nobody else but Noah will go with me. So I gotta go now. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna leave you with this. I like this track on the Ronald Jenkins' new album, Roads Deep. I think it's inspired by Donkey Kong. So enjoy that. Thanks for being here. Ask Noah coming up next, and then of course I'll be back tomorrow with Linux Unplugged.